Sunday's live training, just running tiny bit, just had a little one-to-one call with somebody, so that run over a little bit. But yeah, this week's live training is how to get educated in property, and should I be using a property coach or mentorship? Do I need to pay for this, basically? So I'm Harvey, I'm a remote property investor. I'm also a property coach. So really what I should be telling you is, yep, 100% you need to be getting yourself a mentor or a property coach. But that's not definitely going to be the case with everybody. I think there's loads of elements you need to think about and in between getting a coach. So the answer is, should I get a coach? Really should be, yeah, get a coach, get me, I'm a property coach. But yeah, I wouldn't do that to you. The truth is, not everybody will need a coach. It's massively dependent on a few different things. But I'm going to give you the basis of how to get started. I don't think everybody should jump out and get a coach straight away. I think there's some level through. If you was going to go down the coach route or a mentor route, a mentorship route, there's a few fundamental levels you want to go through. And there's a bit of a difference between coaching, mentorship, training, you know, education. And there's a different formula of going through that I feel everybody should go through before I jump to that stage. Right. Property education. There's so much information out there today as well. Where do you start? What do you get yourself educated on? Should you get yourself educated? There's such a conception. The thing is, if you look back at yourself and you look at the evolution of your education, when you look at the evolution of this, basically as a kid from 0 to 7 you're just hungry, you're learning, everything's why is that, how's this, why is that, but then from 7 to say 13 let's start slowing down and you hit like teenage age where you become, your ego starts expanding, and then you think you know it all. You're teenagers, I know how to do that, you don't need to tell me to do that, I'm big enough, I can handle that, I can do this, and then your ego really develops, and then from sort of 13 to 25 you're implanted with so much information, and what we know is generally just accumulation of what's been fed into us over our time. So by the time you get to 25, it's just accumulation of the books we've read, the people we surround ourselves, and our beliefs are formed. So our beliefs are not always correct, they're just beliefs, you know, just belief patterns. So their belief patterns are formed from the social media you're following, the books you're following, the books you read, the programs you watch, your parents' habits, and most of this gets picked up subconsciously. This is why you have to be so careful about the people you surround yourself with, and the books you read, the magazines you read, the social media you follow. You've got to be so careful with that, because below the conscious level of thinking, we will be implanted with an internal belief pattern. The unfortunate thing is, the ego expands when you're 13. By the time you're 18, 20, you think you know it all, you can take the world on, and your ego's so large. But then by the time your brain, we've got part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex. This is what separates us from apes. This is what gives us the logical thinking part of our brain. It's a fantastic book. I know it sounds like a bit of a fancy name on a neuroscience level, but this part of the brain is our executive part of our brain. We do all the thinking in. It's our logical thinking part of our brain. This is the part of the brain that says, okay, next week I'm going to start running 6 o'clock in the morning. But then we've got a couple of other parts of the brain that operates in like kind of against that. We've got these two voices always going on. So how many of us know what to do but don't do what we know? And this is one of the big parts with the coaching side of it. There's so much information out there, so much free information out there. If information alone was enough for us to achieve our goals, every single person, especially in the UK, but pretty much everywhere, every single person that's got internet to got access to the internet, would be in the shape they want to be, would be as happy as they want to be, and as wealthy as they want to be. And unless you've ticked all 3 of them boxes, which a very small percentage are, because again, success, financial success without fulfillment. So say if you're really successful financially but you're super stressed all the time and you've got no time to spend with your family, that's the ultimate failure, really. Tony Robbins says that. It's not success, that is failure, you know. You've got to have a balance, and it's hard, and there's never going to be a perfect balance. There's always going to be you slightly working too much, and you've got to be awareness to drag it back, and there's always a constant battle, or you're relaxing too much and you're not putting enough to work. There's always going to be a balance and different circumstances, outside forces. But education is key, knowledge is key, but there's a knowledge action gap, and the big gap between that today, the big gap between that is that taking action steps. So we need to go beyond just knowledge alone. But either way, you still need to start with that foundational knowledge. Who is it? Warren Buffett, how can I forget his name? Warren Buffett says risk only comes when you don't know what you're doing. So find out what you're doing is so important. Like I said, when you get to the age of 25, your ego's already expanded. But at the age of 25 also is when your prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain that does all the logical thinking, that's when it's the most biggest and powerfulest to absorb information. But we've lost that plasticity and that exploring and learning. So when you're 0 to 7, when your prefrontal cortex is not there, your curiosity, your willingness to learn is massive, and that's so important. But it's gone by the time you're 25, when your brain is in a place when it's more capable to learn. And it's sad that so many people get set in beliefs, or they get set on a job. By the time you're 25, most people have been to university or been to college, got a job, and that's it. They're just set in that pattern, and they've already inset their belief pattern, and you'll see people just tick through the rest of their life in that same way, and they don't want to change things because it's scary. But anything you'll do to develop you will involve you pushing out your comfort zone a little bit. So it's all about education. The more you educate yourself, the less further you have to step out of your comfort zone to start achieving what you want to achieve. So knowledge and education is the foundation of it, but it'll only take you so far. The biggest things between that is the action steps, and there's certain things that help with that. And this is what I'm going to get into today on today's training. But how do you get yourself educated in property? Do you need a coach? Some people will, some people won't. There's a difference between a coach, a mentor, training, and masterminds. We'll cover all these today. Right, I'm going to get started on how to educate yourself in property. But the same formula works for if you want to get into Bitcoin, if you want to get into Bitcoin, into Forex, or build a business, or build an online e-commerce business. The same formula works with all the strategies. But what I will say is find a strategy and make your one thing the one thing. I was listening to Grant Cardone in one of these Clubhouse rooms yesterday, who's on Clubhouse, by the way, and enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. But I was listening to him, and he said, everybody says about diversification. You want to get things running right. One of the biggest lessons I learned, takeaways I learned in my property journey, and this was in free educational stage, was I went to a seminar and multiple streams property income, and they said the 70-20-10 strategies. 70% of your energy should be on your main focus, 20% on your second, and 10% on your third. And realistically, you want them in the same field. So you don't want to have your main focus Forex, a second strategy property, third strategy e-commerce. You want them all to be complementary. You look at Virgin, most of his businesses as he was growing was all complementary of each other. So he had the airline business. He's obviously got hotels now, like travels, and all these different stuff is complementary businesses as opposed to being completely random different ones. You know, as you build these out and you make them solid, then you can think about more random ones. But Grant Cardone was saying diversification is no good, and I get you what he's saying with that. You really want to focus down, double down on, get your idea and double down on that twist system wise. Then maybe later on, it's good to have some sort of level of diversification within the same industry. So say you was in property, so you might have HMOs, you might have service accommodations, you might have single lets, but you still want to start off with one strategy first, and 70% of your energy goes on that, maybe 20% on the secondary one, and 10% thinking about the third one, not even starting it. And your main 70% one, you want to really focus on systemising that. And once it's systemised, it can run without you, and you don't need your effort so much. You then bring up your 20% into your 70, the 10 into the 20, and bring a new 10 in. But the fact that people try to diversify too thinly, too soon, is their downfall. So right guys, let's get started. How to educate yourself in property. Let's get my pens and different colour pens. And apologies on any spelling mistakes, I'm dyslexic. This is just, I've spelled that wrong already, just thinking about that at the same time. I'll re-edit that and send you this later on. But talking and trying to spell at the same time is difficult. But how do you educate yourself in property? The same fundamentals behind this count for everywhere. So where you want to start is really with free education. There's enough education out there to tell you how to do pretty much everything. But as I said, there is a caveat with free education. And free education will bottleneck you. Some people can get really successful on free education alone. But either way, if their success level, let's say the top success is a 10 a 10. Even how well somebody do, they will still hold us, no matter how well they do. Somebody else's 7 could be somebody else's 10, if that makes sense. So somebody's 7 without education or without a proper mentor, could be somebody else's 10 with education and mentor, because we've all got different levels of natural innate abilities that we can do. We've always got to find that out to understand where your strengths lie and always apply where your strengths. But even where your strengths lie, even what you're good at, you'll still have a cap point of how good you can get at that. That's why not all footballers are the same. Even though footballers train the same amount of hours, you'll get ones like Ronaldo or Messi that's got that natural ability, the innate ability that can take it that step harder. Obviously training, they all have coaches. By the way, any person you see successful in the world, whether it's Messi and Ronaldo, the best footballers in the world, still got coaches. Best golfers in the world, Tiger Woods, no longer the best golfer, but everybody knows who he is. When he was the best golfer, had a coach still. He didn't get to the best and say, I don't need a coach anymore. They get off a golf course and have their coach analyse what they're doing still, you know. The best CEOs, the best company owners, they all have coaches and mentors. So one thing to think about. But everybody should start off at a free level, especially if you're exploring property for the first time. If you've never been into property, start off with the free stuff. So think about YouTube. Think about webinars. Sorry guys, my spelling is awful today. Think about Facebook groups like this. Think about what other ones? Think about books. Start reading some books. Last thing you want to do is pay a mentor when you're not 100% sure if you want to jump into this. Think about like going to network events. What other free forms can you think about? Think about podcasts. There's loads of free forms of education. Clubhouse now. There's Instagram. There's so many platforms where you can pick up free information. There is massive pros with this, and you can get started off this alone. But as I said, not just in my opinion, this is fact. This is not just my opinion. People will use these forms of education and still do it really successfully. But if they then transformed into paid education, without a shadow of doubt, it will excel them forward. Each level you step up in business, there's territories you've never been in before, and you can read so much from a book and vicariously learn that, or you can have somebody guide you there with a structure. But for me, I think, first of all, not everybody's going to be suited to a coach, but not everybody's going to suit to everything. You want to be going through this free information. You might go through all these forms, or a couple of these forms, read a book, go to a few network events, go on YouTube. YouTube is an absolute fantastic one, I find. You can pretty much find out how to do anything on YouTube, but exactly what I said earlier on, there is a knowledge action gap. If all these free forms of education was enough, every single person would have already achieved their goals today. You know, without a shadow of doubt. That's in happiness, in fitness, in relationships, in monetary policies, without a shadow of doubt. And the reason that everybody hasn't is because this is no longer enough. Google, I forgot one of the main ones with Google. We are all just one Google search away from finding out how to do anything. They give you 10 steps how to do anything. So free knowledge alone is just not the answer. We'd all be there. Although it is for some, a small minority, but if for some. But this is where you definitely want to start though. You don't want to start paying off an expensive mentor or a coach or go on training programs. You definitely want to start with the free stuff and get yourself an understanding. Firstly, is this right for you? How am I going to attack this? Because within each strategy, there is a number of different ways you're going to attack it. So once you've done some free education, you've gone around, you've got a feel for what you're doing, you then want to think about, what is my goal from this? So if you're getting into property, let's stick on the property subject. What is my goal? What do I want from it? Like, what is my end goal? Do I want passive income? Do I want a bit of adventure and some challenge in it? Do I want what is my sort of experience around what I'm doing, my starting point? I was on a call with a guy who's jumping on my coaching program at the moment, and yes, do run a coaching program, guys. I should be telling you all, the way to educate yourself in property is only to come through me, but it's not. There'll be different forms, different matches of people for different people, and some people will need that, some people won't. But what is your existing levels of education with you? What is your funds like? So So all this and getting your goals together, I've done previous videos on this, but all this to getting your goals together is really important on deciding your next steps from there onwards, you know. So for instance, I always say this, repetition is the mother of all learning, so apologies if you've seen this before, but I feel everybody should cut their teeth on buy-to-lets at the bottom. So get a number of buy-to-lets, even writing down this initial buy-to-lets. I put BLT while I'm talking. But everybody, I think, is the best place. Not most people, should I say, not everybody, should start with cutting your teeth on simpler projects. No matter what businesses you're in, you will hit headwinds and hurdles. So you're better off cutting your teeth on smaller incremental stuff, working it out, and managing these smaller challenges at the earlier stage than on the bigger ones. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, because I go over this quite a lot. Then you go up into your HMOs and service accommodation stuff, because it's a much more of a complex way to manage properties, to develop them, planning, regulations, licensing, all this sort of stuff comes into play. Then you go up to commercial conversions, and then into development, like land development. If you keep on building up, you know, you might not. You might be happy with just the buy-to-lets. Some people can jump these ladders, but that is realistically, once you've educated yourself, you can know, right, okay, my end goal now is this one, is development. I know realistically, if I've got no funds at the moment, no previous experience. So I was on a call with a guy called Dominic. He's jumping onto the coaching program, and he's got building experience, but he still really values the fact of building a buy-to-let foundation. But the other person with building experience might jump a little bit higher up, but you work out your goals. So once you've read these books, you think, right, this is my end goal, and then you start working backwards of how to do that, and then come through there. But once you've got your end goal, like your end goal might be, your end goal might be to have your end. Where can we put this? Put this in a different colour here. Your end goal might be 1 to 2 buy-to-lets properties to retire with. Sorry for spelling, guys, it's awful today. I'm not thinking straight. If your goal is 1 to 2 properties to retire with, for sure you can get enough education from books or YouTube just how to buy a couple of buy-to-let properties as a little side hustle. Don't get me wrong, buy-to-let property and property investing is not the side hustle it used to be. There's so many logistics around property investing today with Section 24 taxes, stamp duties, all the ever-changing regulation within the market. There's so much change. It's no longer just a thing you could just buy property and wait. You can still buy property and wait, but you do need to have some sort of base level. But if your goal is only to buy 1 or 2 buy-to-let properties, then I think reading a couple of books, getting an understanding of structure, how to set up a business, would be enough for you. It's probably overkill to go on a mentorship, or at maximum you might want to just do a day course that's a few £100, a day course, just get a little bit of understanding how to set up things, structure things, get the right sort of strategy and ideas behind that. But again, once you've got your goals, always think about your goals and your end goal before you think about going into a paid education. Should everybody have paid education? No. But if your goal is to build this into a business, if you want to be a solopreneur, build it into some sort of level of decent business, or if it's in an area that's got some level of like complication with that, especially like HMOs or commercial conversion, then it's advisable to definitely go and get yourself a mentor. Because as I said, if free information alone was enough, like any of you now, you've all got access to free information. As I said, one Google search away from, a quick Google search away from finding out to do anything. And ask yourself the question, are you in the shape you want to be? Are you in the relationships you want to, are your relationships as the feelings you want them to be? Is your balance as where you want it to be in your life work balance? Is your well-being, your happiness there? Is your financial stuff there? And if the answer is no to them, then the tells you that free information is not enough. And you can get mentors in all forms, and the same strategy works the same. First of all, go off and read a few books, do this free stuff, work out what your end goal is with this, and then think about getting yourself some sort of level of coaching and accountabilities. There's coaching sort of the different levels of, but first of all, what you've massively got to think of when you are going to get, if you are going to get some coaching, is make sure you qualify and disqualify the coaches. So getting the right coach is very, very important. And how you do that is by using these methods up the top. So if you're thinking of working with a coach, start watching their videos on YouTube and on YouTube, on Facebook, and start following their posts and their blogs on Instagram, and if they write a blog, and start seeing their articles and following them. Also, if they've got books, read their books. If they do webinars, this is a fantastic one, because webinars are usually are training, so they really want to give you a little bit more of an in-depth like show you behind the scenes of what they will train you. So webinars are good. Jump on a webinar for 60 to 90 minutes is a really good pre-qualification to see if you want to work with somebody. Before you pay them money, go on the webinar and they give you enough value there so that there is a value ladder, and all coaches will be working towards this. At the front end, what they try and do is give you loads of content and for free to just qualify themselves. I disqualify themselves. I don't put work with me that's not right. And next level up will be maybe workshops for free as well, like webinars. And then the next level up will be their more entry level courses. Will be anything from say £300 to maybe £1,000-ish sort of mark. Then the next level up will be their sort of masterminds, and then the next level up, I'm running out of space here, will be the one-to-one. So that's designed purposely in that way. So people, if you get enough value here, then you extend to here. If you get enough value here, you extend to here. If there's not enough value in this front end bit of these free stuff from that individual person who's going to coach you, then you don't extend to any of these next two steps. So you don't waste your time. Time's your number one asset. And this is where you are going to get so much back from coaching as well, and from the right programs. It's going to save you so much time. On my programs, I don't just coach people. I give them the documents, the scripts, loads of plug-in stuff that goes into your business. A business is only as powerful as the systems and processes behind that. And if you get the right coaching program, my one in fact gives you this, but my one's not right for everybody, by the way. I'm not saying only mine's the right one, but it gives you loads of stuff you plug into your business that saves you massive amounts of time, which you'll need to run it and operate as a business. So just think about how you extend up there. Check people out on their free level, on the webinars, then buy their lower end products, and then maybe jump in their mastermind groups, and then maybe jump on their one-to-one training. I'm about to launch a mastermind group and one-to-one training. I let a few people through onto the one-to-one training, and I realised they really need to be down here on the cheaper end stuff first, show a commitment, learn the education stuff. It's better for them. Like, then jumping straight on the one-to-one. I had Andrea and Archie and Connor on the one-to-one stuff. I ended up giving them much more of my time, because I realised a lot of the education stuff they needed, and I didn't think their time was worth. I didn't thought it was a bit of an unfair exchange giving them education stuff in that time. One-to-one mentoring should be exactly about that. This is where I am. Guide me further on from that. The education stuff, you should be really wanting to pick it up at this lower end level. So first of all, as I said, qualify, disqualify who you're going to work with. If your goals are worthy of excelling forward, going forward, as I said, if your goals are just 1 or 2 properties, then think about just reading a few books. So not everybody will need a coach, but when you do, make sure you qualify, disqualify them. And then the process you want to go through is their free stuff, and then their entry level paid stuff. When you pay for something, you pay attention. There's a thing in your subconscious mind. This is exactly what I'm going back to. What we've got to work out in business is 80% of what we do will be psychology, and 20% will be the strategies. So we need to work the psychology of getting out of our own way. In our conscious mind, we go, I know what to do, I know how to do this, but why are we not doing it? There's mind blocks, there's little knowledge action gaps that stops us from achieving this. And the thing is, when you pay for something, you pay attention. I was explaining this exact scenario a little while ago, just now on the last call I was on. My friend got a car garage. He'd done a part exchange on a car. He drove it. He said, I'll just part exchange this. I actually like it that much, I'm going to get a newer version. It was an S-Class Mercedes. It was about 5 years old, but it had over 100,000 miles on it. So he part X'd it for £18,000. It's still exactly the same shape as the current model they're selling today. So he went, yeah, I've got a newer version. I'm about to buy it. I think the newer one was 48 or 60,000 pound, but the car, absolutely brand new, is 90,000 pound. So you think about it, if you went and bought that car for £90,000, or bought exactly the same car, it's a bit older, the only difference is it's a little bit older, but it does exactly the same thing, drives the same condition, same features in there, you would value the £90,000 version much more than you value the £18,000 version, although it's exactly the same thing. And it's just a perception. We've got something happening below the conscious level thinking of our mind that we have to work. We can't consciously think our way out of these subconscious programs that are in our brain. We can't consciously say, no, listen, I'm just going to do it. We've got to work and workarounds around it. And one of the massive workarounds is when you pay for something, you link a value to that straight away. And you've got a much more higher probability, not definite, but higher probability of taking actionable steps on what you're learning, because you want to justify we do things emotionally and justify it logically. And when you pay for something, you want to justify that, especially a lot of coaches are expensive, and rightly so, because they're going to save you more money if you follow what they say than what you're paying them. But that said, for you to pay that, it's a scary step. But once you have paid that, in your brain, you have to justify that logically. So then your brain subconsciously is already working on your side to take these action steps. When you do it for free, you say, okay, wow, that new fitness program looks great. I'm going to do 90 days of it. You get day 3 and you wake up in the morning, your subconscious mind is going, don't worry about today, have a lay here, don't matter. Or I love this one. Or it says, I'm going to stick to this strict diet. And you've watched this program, you watched the Netflix what's it called, documentary, and you think, right, okay, I'm going to be a vegan because you watched, I can't remember the name of that one, which was really controversial, but you watch the documentary, you think, I'm going to be a vegan, I'm going to give up this, or you watch the social media dilemma, I'm going to give up Facebook. The next thing you know, you're eating meat, or you're on Facebook again, and then your brain just says to you eat that first snack or something, you go, oh, well, you've had one snack now, you might as well just throw it out the window. And then you eat more and more snacks. So just the knowledge, the free knowledge, gets you motivated and fired up, but you need actionable steps that takes you beyond this. And one of the big actionable steps in your subconscious mind that make you commit and stick to it is when you pay attention, and the accountability is absolutely ginormous. So you've really got to think about that. But then once you think about disqualifying people, you think about the power of your subconscious mind, getting that on side, you pay attention. You've then got to think, what is the right program for me? And as I said, going back to this, there's a different levels of programs for different people, depending what you want to get out of it. I think everybody, the thing is, if you want to build something big and lasting, there's different things that you want to go through this ladder with the individual coach, ideally, but there's different things, different styles of coaching and training that you would do that will be suited towards you. So as I said, you've got your start with a circle here. You've got your day courses, you've got your masterminds, you've got your one-to-one. You've got your one-to-one stuff. It's usually, you've got your online. You've got your online courses, forms of coaching and mentorship. You've got your just straight out consultancy. You've got your straight out consultancy where somebody wants to come in, you pay them an hour, they come in and give you advice, and then you're off. So as I said, the day training, the thing with day training, the consultancy and the online stuff, they're all really good and they're good entry level points of it. I'm doing some online training at the moment. I'm sat looking for my next mentor, but many of mentors and coaches, but I'm doing some online training, getting as much information, because I don't want to pay a mentor a high hourly rate to learn like the fundamentals behind something. I want to learn that on an online training, which is a lot cheaper. Then you pay them as a mentor, and you try out the online courses of these mentors, and then you jump up to them a little bit higher up level. But depending where you are and what you need for it, you've got to work out which one of these is going to be suited for you. You might already be quite advanced, done loads of training, so you just need that either a bit of consultancy or the one-to-one stuff. The thing with consultancy and the day training, Zig Ziglar says, motivation is like washing. As I said, you might watch that Netflix documentary or read a book and you're all fired up, or you go to a day training course. I went to a 2-week Bali business course and fired up, and then I come back and found myself 2 years later or 3 years later still not implementing some of the stuff I learned. I ended up going to get myself a coach at £350 an hour, and at the time it was a lot. I had to get an overdraft, I had to part of my business was struggling, and the reason part of the business was struggling because I hadn't set in the fundamentals, what I'd learned on the Bardi course, what cost me thousands of pounds years earlier, and what I'd read in hundreds of books. And this is the big difference between it, guys. And this is where you got to get your ego out of the way sometimes. So what I'd learned on a day course or an intensive course, like the difference between a mastermind or one-to-one stuff is the accountability when you come back. So you set, your brain has got a little part in it, and a great book to understand this is the Chimp Paradox by Stephen, I can't remember his name, but check the book out, the Chimp Paradox, and he said your brain's got he calls it your chimp brain. He says it's not you. He said like having a dog, you're still responsible for it, and you've got a part, that part of the brain is like the bouncer on the door that's got to get through before it gets to your executive part of your brain. So it's where all the emotions lie. This is where like joy lies, excitement lies, also fear, dread, worry, all lies in this little centre of our brain. And it mainly lies, it's called the limbic system, and the proper name of it, but in simple terms, it's where the chimp brain is, and it's like a big bounce at the door. It just won't let things through to your executive centre, the prefrontal cortex, to really think about these things. So you can't beat this through will, and it's stronger. Like a big bouncer, it's stronger than the executive thinking part of your brain. And it has to go through that part, because what happens, we're emotional beings. So we do things emotionally and justify it logically later on. And often we justify it just to make ourselves feel better in ourselves, because our ego just can't deal with that. So when you have accountability, this is why the biggest result today, you can go on YouTube and find you can go on Joe Wicks's program or anybody's coaching programs and find yourself how to get fit. But that accountability, getting yourself a PT, a coach, or paying for an online coach makes a massive difference, because one, you paid it, you paid attention, and two, you've got accountability. So that part of the brain where all the ego lies as well, don't want to be proven silly. You know, so that front part of the brain, the chimp brain, these are little tricks you can play on that part of the brain to, like, you say, right, next week I'm going to turn up, I'm going to do this. And when you turn up next week, that egotistical part of the brain and their emotions don't want to feel that response of turning up and saying, I haven't done it. So again, this is the benefits of the day courses, or just getting a consultant in to work with you for a little bit of time, or even the online stuff, because you do it in your own time. When you're paying a coach or a mastermind, you're going back step by step and getting a mentor, and you've got that accountability, massively shifts your results ginormously. But you don't really want to be doing these two straight away. So as I said, even if you only want a 1 or 2 what's the name, you might do a few hour course or a quick online course, pay for that just to get the bit of a deeper dive and the actionable steps. The other thing this does as well will give you actionable, logical steps with the free information. How many of you out there have got loads of free information? You go, don't know which way to go online. Like, you go to like these network events or on some of these webinars and these groups, and there's somebody talking about option agreements, assisted sales, buy-to-lets, buy refurbs, remortgage, commercial conversions, and your head just spins going, wow, I just wanted to get into property. I didn't know there was an array of things within this property. And yeah, you can often get overwhelmed and get nothing done. But also, each one of these HMOs, service accommodation, all these different things need a different level of understanding to get them implemented correctly. And again, you've got to keep the main thing, that 70-20-10 strategy. Let's put this over here, underneath here. It's so key. As I said, 70% of your time should be on your main one. This is difficult for me to do, and I drift from this a lot. And again, having coaches or being in mastermind group helps you stay accountable and stops you from drifting before you should be drifting. But 70% of your time should be on your main focus. And if you want to be to an entrepreneurial level, you focus on that until you've got it systemised and you've got a manager in place and it can run without you. You then shift up your 20 into your 10, into your 70, your 10 into your 20, and you bring in a completely new 10. But 10% should be just thinking about a new thing. You can't be spreading yourself too thin. Say about diversification. Yeah, it's nice to have a diverse portfolio. At the start, I bought a development piece of land. I then, before I even developed that land, I got a HMO, trying to do buy-to-lets. I was then trying to buy properties for investors. I was then trying to set up a lettings company. And it ultimately imploded on me, to the point in 2019, I was nearly bankrupt, you know. I was struggling to just keep my head above water, and the dream I had was slowly fading away. And again, that's when I went back. Even though I'd been on day courses, and I'd done loads of day courses, that fortnight course, I went and found a one-to-one consultant, because I've done a lot of the basic stuff. I've done a lot of the education, so I didn't need to go to him for him to tell me, like, to convince me and educate me on 90-day planning, or educate me on how to build manuals or do P&Ls, because I'd learned all that already. I needed something for the accountability and the actionable steps to do that. So I went and got a one-to-one coach at £350 an hour, and he didn't tell me anything that's revolutionary, but he gave me the actionable steps and accountability to move forward. I got lots of little tips, and again, the power of him was there's loads of templates that I use in my business that saved me just tons and tons of time. But let's go back to the original thing, how to get educated in property. Should it be free? Should it be paid? Depending on your goals, whether it should be free or paid. If you want to grow into a business or like a large sort of, like, get something big from this, 100% without any question of a doubt, getting the correct qualified, disqualified, and getting the correct coach will excel you forward quicker than you would on your own. Can you do it on your own with all the free information out there? Yes. But it will bottleneck you and it will slow you down. Can you still be very successful by that? Yes, but no, you just got to remember, no matter how successful you are doing it this way, you will leave an element on the table without getting the right coaches and the right mentors. But exactly that, it's about qualified, disqualified, and getting the right people in places that can help you out. Still running, I've got a course next week, shameless little plug at the end, but I am doing coaching programs at the moment. If you want to jump on a strategy call, I've got a few more places left on next week's course that starts next week. It's a blended learning. It's much more of this entry level sort of stuff here. Hopefully you've watched some of my free content stuff. Maybe you jumped on my webinar and now you're ready to take this jump with us at this next stage here. If you want to jump on a strategy call with us, I'm happy to jump on them today, because the call starts next Thursday and there's some pre-training video stuff that we give with that. So if you want to jump on there, let us know. I'll put the link in the comments here. I think it's bit.ly/. No, I can't remember it. I can't remember the link for it. But I'll put the link in the comments if you want to book on a strategy call with us. Take a few more people on. But I'm only running this 6-week RBRR training course. I'm only going to be running 3 more of these this year. So there's not many more coming. We're limiting the spaces on them. So we're only running a few of these this year. So if you're interested in it, and this is the last time, we've got a members area and the price is going to be going up. Like, this is incrementally gone up. So find people in this group who's been on the previous one. They tell you that price has gone up each time, and they can tell you the value they've got from it. Always pre-qualify them. You can ask for recommendation when you pre-qualify. But yeah, if you're interested in that, I'll put the link in there for the strategy call. Maybe jump on a call with us today, PM me, we'll jump on that and you want to explore that. But always make sure you qualify, disqualify people. Always make sure it's the right thing for you. But get some form of education before you go into anything. It's so, so important. But if you want to grow something big, get yourself the right coaches, mentors, and the right training program. So I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, guys, if you don't evolve your ideas, you're never going to live on your own terms. So evolve your ideas, live on your own terms, and have a fantastic day, everyone. From